Hey guys, we are back with another educational video, and in this week, it is the nutritional science battle royale we have all been waiting for. Plant-based diet versus the ketogenic diet. New study, very cool study, metabolic ward study, so highly controlled, looking at ketogenic diet versus a plant-based low-fat diet on energy intake, fat loss, a bunch of different measures. The researchers randomized people to two groups, either a high-fat diet, which was about over 70% fat, I think it was 15% protein, and very low carbohydrate, versus a plant-based low-fat diet, which was only 10% of energy from fat. And they wanted to assess which diet was better at inducing satiety and limiting food consumption. One of the main claims of the carbohydrate insulin model of obesity is that insulin is a big driver of not only fat storage, but hunger. And that insulin traps fat inside of fat cells, which causes the rest of the body to sense that it's starving and makes you overeat. One of the central cruxes of the carbohydrate insulin model of obesity is that we don't get fat because we overeat. We overeat because we get fat because insulin is trapping fat in fat cells. So most of this hypothesis has been debunked, but there are still people who say insulin makes you hungry, even though when you give insulin to animals in a lab, they stop eating. But hey, whatever. This study aimed to look at food intake in response to these two diets. Now, again, many ketogenic diet advocates will say, hey, this diet is so satiating compared to a low-fat diet. A few caveats: the low-fat diet was higher in fiber and it was lower in energy density, but an energy-dense diet is just part of the ketogenic diet because fat has greater energy per gram than carbohydrate and protein. So it's over 2 times as energy dense. But again, if the carbohydrate insulin model of obesity holds, the people on the low-carb ketogenic diet should have lower insulin and lower food consumption than the people on the low-fat diet. They put them on these diets for 2 weeks and crossed them over, looked at fat loss, energy expenditure, a bunch of different stuff, oral glucose tolerance, insulin. So what did they find? The main findings were that both diets decreased energy consumption. So both diets induced an energy deficit, small energy deficit. The group consuming the low-fat diet lowered their energy intake by almost 700 calories more than the ketogenic diet. I'll say that again. They ate 700 calories less than the ketogenic diet group. Both groups were told during the diet that they could have as much or as little food as they wanted. So they were just instructed to kind of eat freely. Once again, I'm saying this again because that is a huge difference. 700 calories per day difference in the first week, and in the second week it was about 500 calories per day difference. And they found that the ketogenic diet was in ketosis. Their blood ketone levels were about 3 millimolar, which is right smack dab in what you would consider a ketogenic state, and their insulin dropped. So this seems to refute one of the other core fundamental aspects of the carbohydrate insulin model of obesity, which is insulin drives hunger. If that was the case, we would expect to see the ketogenic diet group consume less food than the low-fat group. The ketogenic diet group did lose more weight initially, but when they actually looked at fat mass on the DEXA, they didn't lose more fat. They actually lost more lean body mass, mostly as water. In a previous ketogenic diet study, they actually showed that the ketogenic diet induce more lean body mass and more nitrogen loss compared to a non-ketogenic diet. So it appears that initial loss of body weight, much of it is driven by water and glycogen being lost, because when you're on a ketogenic diet, consuming lower carbohydrate, you're going to burn through more glycogen, and you're also going to lose a lot of body water because you store about 2.7 grams of water per every gram of glycogen, and you've got around 400 grams of glycogen you can store in your body. So there's quite a bit of water weight that you can lose. Now, they also looked at a bunch of other blood markers and whatnot. Essentially what they found was that both diets improved blood markers slightly, and that the low-fat diet was better for improving blood lipids. So in the end, the groups didn't lose a really statistically different amount of body fat, but the ketogenic diet group did lose more lean body mass, which is probably mostly water, but still registers as lean body mass. Further, even though the low-fat group had way higher carbohydrate intake, both groups improved their fasting glucose and insulin and were not different from each other. Once again, a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet can also improve insulin and blood glucose as long as it's inducing a caloric deficit. So can a ketogenic diet. We saw both groups improve their health markers. The point is, one diet isn't magic versus the other. I don't think this study is even necessarily a negative for the ketogenic diet. They showed that they were able to lose body fat. They showed improvements in health markers. But what it says is that it's not superior to a low-fat diet. Also, I don't want to create a false dichotomy. Your two choices in the diet world aren't ketogenic diet or low-fat diet. You can choose a balanced diet. In fact, we have over 30 studies now that show when you equate for protein and calories, the carbohydrate and fat intake does not seem to make a difference on fat loss to an appreciable degree. And further, we have other evidence that suggests that 95 to 99% of the health benefits of diets can be completely traced back to the weight loss that is incurred in terms of long-term changes in various health markers. So again, what that says, in my opinion, based on the data, the best diet for the individual is the one that they can adhere to. If that's a ketogenic diet for you, fantastic. Knock yourself out. But it's not because of insulin, carbohydrates making you fat, sugar, all these sorts of people try to do with the science. If you like a plant-based low-fat diet, that's fine. But you got leaner because you reduced your calorie intake. Not because animal product intake was increasing your inflammatory markers, which was preventing you from losing fat. That's also nonsense. Pick the diet you can stick to. Is a ketogenic diet superior to a low-fat diet? It doesn't appear so from a physiological perspective. And it appears a low-fat, high-fiber, non-processed food diet with low energy density is probably better for satiety than a high-fat diet. But again, whatever you can do and adhere to is probably best for you. I can't wait to see what the comments on this video are going to be. I'm going to link the study in the description, and I leave it to the vegans and the low-carb zealots to just have at it in the comments. Again, I am not against the ketogenic diet. I'm not against the vegan diet. I'm not against any one diet except for the absolutely nonsense ones that are out there. I just want you guys to realize that these diets aren't magic. There's a defined reason why they work. It's not because of insulin. It's not because of limiting inflammation from animal products, that's a whole separate argument. It's because they induce a calorie deficit. Find a way to induce a calorie deficit, stick to it, maintain it, and that's gonna be your best bet. I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. If you want more information about finding your best way to induce a calorie deficit, check out our new nutritional coaching app, Carbon Diet Coach. You put in your details and then you pick the style of diet that works best for you, and you can customize it with a whole range of different options, and it's less than 10 bucks a month. So if you can't afford one-on-one nutrition coaching, this is a great option. We'll also put the link for that in the description. Thanks guys, really appreciate you checking out my videos, and I'll catch you next week.